Hi everybody, I'm Zdravko, also known as Z from Outbound. As you might know, last year we published the first ever State of IT Sales in Bulgaria report with the goal to see how COVID how COVID and the changes that originated from the pandemic affected the tech sector and especially how affected the business side of tech companies. So some interesting insights came out of it, but to see how 2020 was for specific companies and was there a positive trend since the start of the whole pandemic situation, I have invited a friend of mine, Nick Todorov, CEO of LimeChain, a high quality blockchain consulting and development company, which is currently featured in various blockchain and traditional medias, being one of the top such worldwide. So first, I'm going to start with a question to Nick. First, Nick, thank you for being here. Can you share shortly about you and about the company for the people who don't know you?
Sure. Thank you for having me first. So as Drako said, my name is Nick, and I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of LimeChain, among other companies, part of the Lime Tech group, like Lime Legal, Lime Studio, LimePay, many Lime starting companies. So yeah, briefly about me. I've been part of the tech sector for the past, I don't know how many years right now, I think 7, 8. I started around 2010 and 11 in one of the first portfolio companies of 11, and ever since I've been working in the IT sector, being part of the startup community, and doing my best, to support now from the other side the startups and the founders in progressing their companies, along with the core things we're doing with LimeChain, which is building the new finance world and building the new decentralized future. So yeah, that's briefly about me.
Thank you for the intro. So something I saw in the report that I mentioned about is that last year was a bit challenging, and a lot of the respondents actually felt either not an increase in revenue or also a drop in the cash that they're generating. So 44% of all respondents saw the same level of decrease in their revenue. What was like this in LimeChain, and what was the biggest challenge for last year? And was there also a positive side of what was happening with the whole lockdown and the craziness that was last year?
Yeah, well, last year was the most successful year we had so far. We recorded, I don't know how many percent, but it's in the double digits profit increase compared to the previous year. It was kind of a roller coaster last year. In Q1, it was kind of uncertain what's going on. Actually, in Q1, I was in the various conferences. I was in US for a conference. I was in the various conferences in Europe, and in Q2 things took a U-turn, obviously due to the COVID. And in the very beginning of COVID, we had a kind of uncertainty on the market. People were not quite sure what's going on and how to proceed forward. However, and that at that point, the business kind of got still. We didn't experience any cancellations of projects. We, however, saw some of the projects that we had to start being delayed over time. And I think Q2 was more like companies making decisions, what to do with the current situations, what to make out of it. And Q3 and Q4, they just made a decision that they have to go full on digital, and all the projects resumed. And ever since we increased, we experienced an ever increasing demand in what we're doing. So currently now it's not more on the struggle on the project side, but rather, in growing and scaling the delivery part, which is kind of a good problem to have, but still a challenge. So yeah, I think, currently we're in the rise of the digitalization, and as some of the people in the industry are joking, cloud has been here for all 20 years, but most of the companies discovered it just now. So we obviously are starting with technology that's kind of been around for a bit and progressing with the new ones.
Yeah, exactly what we saw also in Outbound. There was a moment of people being uncertain on what to do because nobody actually had an answer on what was happening. And for us, unfortunately, we had half of our business canceled within 2 days. And people were like, it's not that we don't have the budget or we were affected, but we have no idea what is happening, so let's just pause it. But on the other side, as you mentioned, in Q3 and Q4, a lot of them came back, new clients came, so things started growing. So definitely we saw the same pattern. And by the way, something I was about to ask you, because you mentioned conferences, like was conference like visiting a big part of how you find clients and how you connect to people, and also like how did you alter your approach, like or adjust your approach last year based on that?
Oh, that's a hard one. We were just starting to understand what to do with conferences and how to, approach them properly. To be quite honest, we used conferences to meet people. However, we didn't really generate a lot of business out of it. We mostly generate business from our contacts and, referrals. Obviously we're now a bigger company than we used to, but when you're 20, 30 people, it's kind of easier to, to get business out of referrals. But as you grow, obviously you have to be more sustainable in your approach. So conferences was one of the obvious ones. Now, I wouldn't say that we don't go to any conferences, right? I wouldn't say that due to that we were not able to go. We struggled in any way. Uh, what we saw is quite an increase in inbound inquiries on our website, which was kind of obvious, one to expect. But yeah, what I can say is that we didn't have any good experience with digital conferences so far.
Yeah, that was my next
Obviously,
question.
yeah,
Like,
we didn't have any good experience with that. I mean, I'm person, right? So I people person. I would like to meet people in person and get to know them. And this doesn't happen well over over the camera or
yeah,
while in our laptops. It should be on in person. I think. Call me old-fashioned, but I think this is the right way to do it. And yeah, we didn't have any good experience with it.
yeah, I've been trying this for the last probably 16, 18 months with different formats, including being an avatar with your face and hair or no hair in the case. But yeah, no proper experience. I mean, it's a good way to actually meet the person, but to win the trust and the things that you had when you shake hands and actually share a drink and discuss a bit more face to face is quite different. But I guess everybody's looking forward to getting back to meeting people and talking face to face. By the way, you mentioned inbound, and I was curious to understand, like, is this currently the main driver, and also what other channels besides inbound and also referrals and word of mouth do you use?
So I would say the single most, biggest channel is referrals. Obviously, we're kind of, really blessed to be in the emerging sector at the very point when the sector started to emerge. So we know a lot of people that are really well connected or household names in the ecosystem. So it's kind of we're in a good situation. And most of our business comes out of people we know and we have worked with. And currently, I would say, most of the business is coming out of the existing clients, which was always our goal. The second most significant channel is the website. But the quality of the leads is kind of I would say around 20 to 30% are the ones that could be qualified as a lead or an opportunity. The other ones are just, scouting out, asking questions, not really, prospected. And most of the times they fall out of the funnel in the very next step. And after that, we do advertise. However, I don't think that a big portion of the revenue a big portion of the ops comes out of advertising. I would say that we're currently experiencing several leads out of that. However, I think it makes an impact on how many times people were able to have a touch point with your brand, which is quite an important thing when you're making or considering which company to work with in the future. So I would say that advertising is a kind of significant channel, but not for the lead generation reasons. I think
Like,
that's
is
the
it
channels
is
we're
this like
using.
Google and Facebook ads, or is it like more industry or like specific magazines and
Oh,
websites
both.
and publishers? Yeah, both.
Both, but for the first one you described are more on the lead generation and business
Hmm.
generating part, while the other ones are more on the employer branding end of things.
Yeah. Okay. And maybe a question I have about like how do you see the role of sales, having in mind everything that happened and the positive things that are going with your new business. Like how do you see the sales role will change for LimeChain, for you as a CEO and the first salesperson, and also all the salespeople that are involved in the process?
Well, first, I would like to start with saying that I'm not a professional salesperson per se. I happen to be one out of necessity, so things are might a bit different in our situation. However, what we're striving to do is always to be a good consultants to our clients and our partners. First, try to pinpoint and outline the things that we can help them out with and see what value we can bring on the table. So in that sense, we've always been in a consultative sales. I would say that in the past, sales mostly made money and sold stuff out of information in inequality in distribution. Now this has changed. Everybody can find whatever they're looking for, except for the know-how, it's really hard to find. And in order to be able to understand certain things, you have to overgo like a year or two in the industry. So this is where the value a salesperson can bring. And I would say in the future, salespeople have to be more educated and more trained in a certain area they're operating in. So that being said, it won't be that easy to start in sales, and it won't be just to learn the nitty-gritty of how to approach people, the proper way to write emails, and how to engage with them and get their attention. It's rather be on the side how I can bring value to these people and base that value out of a knowledge, a deep knowledge in the industry I have. And this is even more obvious now with COVID happening, and people are really looking can now invest even more time in finding value in partners they work with. So I would say this is a kind of a bigger switch. This is happening in the past 10 15 years, I would say, but now it's kind of dramatically increasing as a as a trend.
Exactly what I'm also seeing. Quite often people, especially leads, reach out to you with the goal to actually give them, as you mentioned, a consultation, how your approach or your solution will be specifically better for them compared to all the other ones, especially having in mind that you have all the data available online, literally a few clicks away or one email away. Something I'm trying to do when I talk to companies is to be brutally honest and just tell them, hey guys, this can be the things that can go wrong. This can be the things that can go quite right. This is like this level of certainty we can have, and that's it. If this is working for you, let's go. If it's not working for you, I prefer to tell you right away, so we cannot just lose each other's time or spend a few months of work and then both sides won't be happy because they had different expectations. So definitely, I see the role of the salesperson, as you mentioned, a person who need to know the industry really well, and based on that to be able to consult the people who are seeking for the solution. So definitely this I think it's a really positive trend, because in the past, salespeople used to be seen as guys who just try to push something in your throat and get over it, really get like over this lead and move to the next one.
Yeah.
So definitely,
actually, one of the best sales people I've worked with and been have a contact with was related to buying one particular SaaS tool. So in the first meeting, she just cut me off and said, this is not the right thing for you. We won't be able to help in a way expected. So I'm happy to take your money, but I think you can spend them better, in the other place. And obviously this, at that point we decided not to proceed forward, but not because of the salesperson, but rather because of, the solution fit we had. However, this was kind of a step one in the development of these certain areas. So after we evolved a bit, we went back and bought the tool. And just because of this particular person, and because it was brutally honest, as you said in the very beginning, which made a really good impression.
Definitely. Nick, thank you for your time. As I mentioned, we need to be short, sweet, and specific when it comes to our talk today about sales and business development. Do you think there's something you may add for, especially for service companies that actually want to demonstrate their quality and be able to sell to external markets?
I would say just work hard. Obviously this is always a good advice, and find your mucho, as they said. Your specific thing that can bring a lot of value compared to the other people. There's always one. We just have to discover it. So I just said that's it.
Definitely. Thank you, Nick. Nick, thank you for the time and for the shared thoughts. It has been a pleasure, and have a great 2021.
Thank you.